Hey there, time for another pre-work video. So today we are going to practice rounding decimal values to different place values. And while we learned how to do that the long way, remember where we decompose and we pick the decomposition that makes the most sense. Remember that, friends? And then we would draw the vertical number line with our end points and we would find the midpoint. And that was the long way of rounding. And we did that because it helped us conceptually understand the math. Today we're going to show the shorter way of doing it, okay? So hopefully you've had enough practice with the longer way that you're ready for the shorter way. So, look at this number. Say that number out loud. So just say it to yourself. Okay, hopefully you said it. You read this as 6 and 385 thousandths. And what I want you to do right now is round this number to the nearest tenth, either on your whiteboard or in your notebook. Pause if you need to. Take your time. Once you're done, come back and I'll show you. So this is the short way we can do it. If we don't want to go through all the work of picking the decomposition and doing the number line, you may look at the tenths place, right? This is the number that we're rounding to. So either the bottom endpoint of our vertical number line would be 3/10. The top endpoint of our vertical number line would be 4/10. It's either going to be 3/10 or 4/10, right? In order to figure out whether it's going to stay at 3/10 or bump up to 4/10, we look at our hundredths place. Is 8/100ths closer to a tenth or closer to no tenth? If you think about 8/100ths, 8 is closer to 10, which 8/100ths is a tenth, than it is to 0, right? 8 is closer to being 10. So that means we would round this number to 6 and 4/10. Because our hundredths, we have almost enough hundredths to make one more tenth. Okay, that's how we do this. We'll go ahead and do another one. Remember that you should be writing what I write down so that you can show your work later. Okay, same value. Say this number out loud. Say it out loud. Hopefully you remember from last time. 6 and 385 thousandths. And now we're going to round it to the nearest hundredth. Okay? If you need to pause and think about it, do so. Once you're ready, come back. Okay, so this time we're rounding to the nearest hundredth. That's the place value in question. Are we going to stay at 8/100ths or bump up 1 to 9/100ths? And to figure that out, we're going to look at our thousandths. If we were having a vertical number line for this, remember, our low endpoint would be 8/100ths. Our high endpoint would be 9/100ths. Our midpoint would be this number with 5 of the next smallest place value. And what do we have here? We have a 5. So remember, friends, we learned this in our lesson on rounding, that if you land directly on the midpoint, you bump it up. So in this case, because it's a 5, we are going to bump up to the next largest hundredth. And so 6 and 385 thousandths would get rounded to 6 and 39 hundredths. Okay? So remember, step 1, figure out the place value they want you to round it to. Step 2, look at the next smallest place value. Step 3, decide if you're going to bump it up or stay where it is. We'll do just one more. Okay. I'm not going to read it out loud. I almost read it for you. But you're going to read it out loud. Okay. Read this number out loud. I started it for you. And hopefully what you read was 37 and 645 thousandths. Okay? That's how you read it. Round this number to the nearest hundredth. You just saw an example of this, so hopefully you'll feel ready. Pause the video, take your time, come back when you've done it. Okay, hopefully you're back because you did it on your own, and hopefully you didn't just sit there and wait for me to give you the answer, because that would be the less fun way. Okay, so it said round to the nearest hundredth. This is our hundredths place. So remember that if you were using a vertical number line, 4 hundredths would be one endpoint, and so therefore the other endpoint would be 5 hundredths. And we're figuring out whether this number is closer to 5 hundredths or 4 hundredths. Well, our midpoint, if you recall, would be this number with 5 of the next smallest place value. And once again, what do we have here? We have 45 thousandths. So 5 of the next smallest place value once again. So like I said last time, when you land on the midpoint, which sometimes does happen, you always move up, okay? So because 5 is exactly in between 4 hundredths and 5 hundredths, we are going to bump up to 5 hundredths. And 37 and 645 thousandths rounded to the nearest hundredth is 37 and 65 hundredths. If you need help on this, please make sure you get your help before our test. Bye, friends.